Tom Orr, who is joining us here tonight from his new show, I Feel a Thong, coming on over at the New Conservatory Theater. Tom, thanks so much for joining us this evening.
Well, thank you for having me.
We loved your show. This is Roger, by the way, folks. Everyone knows Roger who watches our show. This is a great show, Tom. It's such a fun show.
Thank you.
And people may know you from Dirty Little Show Tunes and a lot of other work around the Bay Area.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about this show and how it came about.
Well, let's see. I moved here 12 years ago and did a show called Dirty Little Show Tunes, as you've been talking about. And when that closed, I started doing just solo works because it was a lot cheaper than trying to do a six-man show.
Right.
And a lot of the time I would get an engagement where it was just easier to try to pull together me and a piano player, and then eventually just me and a bunch of karaoke tapes.
Sure.
Which I did. I've done several versions now. There was a Sweet Parody was my first solo show, and then Of Me I Sing Baby was the one I took to Seattle. And then a year and a half ago, I was living south of Market, and there was just a bad housing situation where we suddenly had to move quickly, and I didn't have any money.
Yeah.
So I went to Theater Rhinoceros on a Monday night and rented it for the evening and threw myself a benefit with Trauma Flintstone and Katya Ludmila Smirnovskaya as my guest stars.
I love Katya.
Yeah. Yes.
And her vodka.
And we pulled together a 2-hour show, and then that is what kind of grew into this. So from the benefit, I then took it to a little black box space down south of Market called The Garage, and did that last August for 4 weeks, and that did very well there, and that was called the iTom Shuffle. Because at the benefit, some friends had given me an iPod, and I'd never had one before, and it changed my life. That I could suddenly listen to my karaoke on Muni and rehearse while I'm walking around town and getting my errands done, so it was terrific. So that inspired iTom Shuffle, which did very well last summer, and that's where Ed Decker from the New Conservatory saw it when he was planning this year's cabaret series, so he asked me to fill the spot. And then last February, I took it down to L.A. for 2 weeks to a little space there called Theater Asylum. So I call that one the iTom Shuffle Goes Hollywood. And I grew up in L.A., but I had never actually performed there, so it was my L.A. debut. And it went very well. The show was really strong. Alan Sawyer came in and really helped me restructure it.
As the director.
As my director. And then he just kind of sent me off, and I went down, and it went very well, except there was just nobody there. I had missed every deadline for every calendar listing in town, and no one knew. So by the second weekend, it picked up. A bunch of girls from my high school came and surprised me one night.
LA's kind of a weird
Oh, yeah. And it was especially with no reputation there at all to try to get the arts editors interested.